Where are my eyeglasses? Here they are. Oh. You know you're getting old when you need to be wearing your eyeglasses in order to find your eyeglasses. Oh, Lord. Hallelujah. Well, welcome, whoever, wherever, whenever, however you are, whenever you're here. Thank you for showing up. I hope you stay a while. Yeah, I got some sewing I'm going to be working on. I'm just going to chit chat. Um, yeah, I'm working on my cathedral windows. I'm actually getting better at it as I go along, but I'm still going to introduce. Let's see, where was I? Oh, there I am. Okay. I'm still going to introduce the cheater code I've come up with for doing this because, as I said, a little covering like this goes a long way to cure the problem of the messy join. Yeah, there's another one right there. But as I go along, I'm getting much better at the joins. And so by the time this quilt is finished, which isn't that far away, I probably will be able to dispense with the cheater covers. And I've got a knot in the thread here, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Here we go. I'm just going to clip it and start over. There. Oh well. Oh well. The two parts to this. Well, I'm not going to go into that here because I am planning to. I hope that my plans to be a guest on other quilters' streams to talk about some of the creative things are not sabotaged, but I'm going to talk about it here. Chat room politics. Yeah, I've spoken about some political topics in some of my videos, but when someone openly speaks about a political point of view, you know what you're hearing. You can sit and listen or say the person's a jerk and move on, or choose to argue, which, I prefer to avoid arguments because I think most people have already made up their minds one way or the other about everything. And letting people quietly think about something and maybe independently research on their own, I think is far more effective than trying to win a debate. That's my personal opinion. But there's another aspect to the political problem in social media. And that's when politics invade chat rooms. Speaking of which, if I have any chatters, I should be greeting them. Nope, nobody's here yet. 3 people are watching. Thank you. 1 person has already liked me. Thank you. Yeah, the difference is, you can turn on any video, and maybe the person isn't even going to talk about politics, but they got rainbows on the wall, or, American flags on the wall, whatever. You could tell, okay, I know pretty much which direction the rainbow person and the American flag person are likely to go. Personally, I get attacked a lot because I fall in the middle. I get people on both sides mad at me. C'est la vie. But the thing is, chat rooms that are set up to serve the interests of a craft community are not political spaces. And the tactic of setting up a craft channel to form personal relationships with people and then throwing out a political demonstration and then going into chat rooms to start talking about your personal hardships as if the international political conflicts over the, well, we'll be honest, Greenland, the trade routes of Greenland, are the same as a personal family. You're sick and have the flu and hope it's not COVID, so will everyone sympathize? You can't get your quilts done because the weather is knocked the power out or something. Yeah, bring that into chat. People sympathize. But don't assume that just because most people in the quilting world are nice people, that they are going to be fooled by two white Americans from Florida who are living in Greenland, claiming that life is so hard over there and you know what we're talking about, and getting sympathetic nods to have everybody be characterized as mean if, well, I don't know what you're saying, Tomo, because it shut off after a couple words. But if anybody is saying, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on there, because you're a white American sitting in Greenland. You want to talk about colonization? You're colonizing. And to speak up about as if, oh, don't worry about it, Tomo. Forget about it. You were a little drunk and we gave you another chance and you seem to be a nice guy. I got somebody in chat who's apologizing for having been a little bit less than family friendly posting. Yeah, c'est la vie. C'est la vie. Anyway, this other thing that I'm talking about, nobody wants to talk about this stuff in chats, okay? So I'm not running a friendly sewing chat room here right now. I mean, I doubt I'll ever be able to, because I've been up against this crap for a long time. And somebody has to speak up. Oh, don't worry about it, Tomo. Anyway, this is the point. I'm not going to go into a chat room and demand that people, or gently suggest that people should sympathize with me because of hardships in my life, some of which I frankly did bring on myself. Okay, I made some bad decisions in life. Katie, maybe moving to Greenland was a bad decision. But if you're going to talk about hardship, before you talk about hardship, why don't you move to Minneapolis and see what's going on with the left-wing Democrats doing in that city, or Portland, Oregon? Why don't you take a look at that TikTok video of that nurse who just got fired from her job she was at a university, healthcare of some kind, in a hospital out near Duke University. And she made a video showing her medical knowledge of how to create poisons and put them in water and spray them at people. She was one of yours, Kitty. Someone who thinks the evil United States has to be taken down. Well, if you maybe had made a good choice to move to Greenland to just get away from it all, fine. But you're not a Greenlander, okay? You're an American. You're a white, a plain vanilla white Anglo American who moved from Florida to Greenland. And now you think because you're a left winger who believes that the Greenlanders would be better off with China taking over than having the President of the United States negotiate things with Denmark. And how glad are the native tribes, I think it's the Inuit tribes, who can be called native to there. They've had some complaints about being occupied by Scandinavians at times. And a lot of them, frankly, are Scandinavian. You know, we talk about the Vikings. How great was that for Greenland? So you want to talk colonization, you got to be realistic. You want to come into chats and start trying to turn peaceful, non-political chat rooms into the streets of Minneapolis and Portland. You're making a mistake. Because if things are that bad in Greenland, you might want to move back into the United States. And you may be talking only to left-wing liberal white nutcases. Yeah, I keep saying white as if I'm one of the Democrats who hates white people. No, I'm pointing out most of the brown and black people that I know, and I do know quite a few, worked alongside quite a few. I have the funny trait that I can speak pretty good Spanish at work when I was working in restaurants. I could speak plain Spanish all the time, but when I'm outside of that setting, I can't speak Spanish. It's like my brain is locked into a certain... Anyway, the point is, very few of them agree with left-wing Democrat politics. Most of them are realizing that the only reason they've been voting Democrat for all their lives is they really never took a good look at what the Democrats are doing to this country and to the world. Because if the Democrats were in charge, not only would Greenland be occupied by the Chinese, but the Americans over there would be far more corrupt and far worse than anything you see the Republicans or the other conservatives doing. Okay, I'm going to take a break and go into chat. Tomo is still apologizing for drunk chatting last night. It's okay. It's done. Yeah, Tomo is saying UK here. Rather have Trump than Starmer. Yeah, Starmer has done such a great job for England that Saudi Arabia has decided they're not going to allow any more Arab Muslim students to go over to London because they're coming back as radical terrorists, Islamic terrorists. So think about that. That's what Starmer did. Now someone is bringing up the name of a nutcase, and it's a troll that is about to be banned. I'm not even going to bother reading it. Hide user on this channel. Okay, you're permanently banned. Yeah. Now, this person that came in, you can probably still see the profile, and it says deleted message. This person is attacking a woman who was being attacked by the same trolls that were attacking me. just about the point where I realized something was going on. You know how I realized what was going on, Katie in Greenland? I hope you're listening to this because these are the people that you think are so great. These are your left wing Democrat, keep Trump out of Greenland people. I was doing a chat stream when it first started back in 2016, 2017. And one of these people came in with my daughter's photograph taken from her memorial page. And alongside her, an employee of a Boston anti-cult activist, a political activist, a left-wing political activist named Steve Hassan. And Hassan's employee, because Hassan was hired to harass my daughter on behalf of some left-wing relatives of mine who were angry because I left Massachusetts after seeing what they were up to. I left Massachusetts and came to Texas. My daughter stayed in Massachusetts and ended up dead. Now, you see this Glazen Dean safe space? Idiot, that's one of them right there. They were attacking a woman named Rebecca Dean. Rebecca Dean had been tricked into the same politics you're playing, Katie, in Greenland. Sympathy, pity, poor emotional kindness. And they played her till she ended up taking one of them to court for a protection order. Because her natural tendency to interpret politics was conservative, but she wasn't politically sophisticated enough to recognize that she even had a political direction as such. She got involved in some politics because she was upset that some horses had been shot by a government agency, the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, and that whole conflict with the ranchers out west. And she sympathized with the ranchers because the federal agents, being city boys with guns, were shooting cattle and horses and whatever else stood still out there in the desert because they were trying to drive the ranchers off some federal grazing land. That, in a nutshell, is what was going on. That's been going on forever in the West. Anyway, Rebecca Dean lives in Ohio, owns horses, loves animals, gets sympathetic. And these political left-wingers, Democrats, saw her, said, hey, we can use that one. And they sucked her into the back and forth. Next thing you know, one of them's posting up pictures threatening to kill her, having horses in it, kill her horses, all kinds of death threats. Serious stuff. And here's the real clincher. I was getting attacked by the same people for refusing to say that a massacre that was very real, that took place here in Texas, when somebody went and shot up the church at Sutherland Springs, which is up near San Antonio, which is, I don't know, it's about an hour and a half's drive from where I live. People from that area come down to this beach all the time because this is the closest ocean beach to them. So it feels like it's close next door, Sutherland Springs. Well, the weekend, that was Sunday, that they 16 people, I believe, were killed, including the pastor's daughter, teenage daughter, and it shot while praying at church. And it was that following Monday or Tuesday that these same trolls, the same one that I just hid from is one of them, came into my chat with my daughter's picture. And the one that works for Steve Hassan, and I say works for because he was on the payroll, because we saw his resume. He had his professional resume on a public platform where you could see everything, you could see his credentials. And he was, in fact, a fully staff paid member, salaried staffer for Steve Hassan. And he had been assigned to harass my daughter and me. He was trying to harass me online. I was ignoring him. But this person came into my chat room alongside the one who was using my daughter's photograph. This guy came in saying something very private and personal about my little brother, my younger brother. He did that so that I would know it was him. He didn't put his name on his profile. And they wanted to make sure I knew they were coming in to take my channel down. And they did. They successfully took that channel down. And they're trying to take this one down. But the chat room politics all works off the idea. And Katie in Greenland, you better think twice, okay? Quilt ladies have an etiquette that we're not talking politics in the chats. We're getting along with each other. We know, for example, how to tolerate and respect gay people. Because we remember when the question of sexual orientation was a private matter and it was for adults. We remember those days. You probably don't. Let's see. Let me get back into the chat. Tomo says, might as well call England Islamland. It is Islamland. Yeah, and I guess, what would they call it? Istanbul, Kazakhstan. So we're going to call it Londonstan now instead of London. Let's see. Here's another one. Denise, what do you think about the Sam? I don't know about the Sam Clinton arrest. Sam Clinton is another Democrat who plays around in some of the rougher neighborhoods of YouTube. And I didn't know he was arrested. This guy that's got a kind of a, they like to make dirty jokes kind of name, and he's making fun of this guy, Sam Clinton. Sam Clinton isn't this guy's real name anyway. Somebody who uses the name Clinton because he admires the Clintons. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'd like to see a link if he's arrested, that guy. I would like to find out what it is. Let's see. Tommy says, you'll see your daughter again. She's waiting for her mother. Oh, she's watching what's going on, too, I'll tell you. I swore I'm not going to stop until that gang is behind bars. And we're slowly doing it. Oh, to get back to what I was saying about Southern Springs, that's what they were talking about, right? And part of it was that before they did that, they had, the one who was using my daughter's picture is an Indiana woman named Tammy Mathis. That's her legal name. And she was using that name on her profile with my daughter's picture. And she, and a couple of the others, had approached me. They were asking in the chat that I should talk about the Southern Springs shooting and say it was fake. And some of you might remember that this guy, Alex Jones, his stuff is still around. He's still seen here and there in interviews, but he had his own show, and a big part of his show was claiming that all of the violence that we're seeing and the shootings of children in schools was fake. And he got sued by one of the families of a dead child. And he got deplatformed. But he got deplatformed because alongside the politics, he was running some kind of hacker software. If you downloaded his app that he was selling, it was hacker stuff that was going to get into your system. So that's why he was deplatformed. He was running an extortion ring. Now, he was presenting people on his stage, on his screen, in his show as guests, calling them official law enforcement. He had this guy, Dave Acton, not a real name, not a real person. I mean, he is a real person. George Webb, somebody up here just posted a question to me about somebody named George Webb. Well, George Webb's real name is George Webb Swigert, and he has a brother, David George Swigert. George Webb Swigert was arrested in 2017 for causing the evacuation of the port of Charleston on the east coast of the United States. Major freight port. They're not an oil port so much as a freight port, I think. And of course, I live in Corpus Christi, and these people had their eyes on causing, wreaking havoc down here. But we keep it pretty quiet down here. But these are the people that were coming into the chats. And then they do everything on personal. And I was talking about Rebecca Dean and the one that came in calling himself Glazen Dean Safe Space there. Because Rebecca Dean still does a lot of emotional kind of personal relationship kind of content. But that's okay. But they were playing on that with her. At the same time as they were coming after me with things about my daughter. And then I found out that the way they started playing with Rebecca Dean was because she had a cold case murder in her family. And they started out the same way they tried to start out with me. They said they were going to help her out. They helped her put together a beautiful documentary, calling for people to come forward and say things if they knew anything about what had happened. In his 1980, I think a nephew of her husband's was killed in some kind of violent interaction in 1983. So it's a long time ago. And these people came on to her like, oh, we're your friends, we're your pals. She trusted them. Next thing you know, she's getting death threats because she wasn't quite getting with their politics. She was continuing to do her own thing. And when she first came to my attention, someone had told her that I was involved because they were taking my videos and they were presenting them and claiming they represented me because my daughter had been killed. And she didn't know who I was or anything. She came into my chat and said, who are you and why are you getting involved in my case? I'm like, what are you talking about? And when I looked into it, I found out. And that's when it hit me. Every single person that this troll army of the Democrat Party, the same Democrat Party that's running your politics, Katie Greenland, every single person that they were attacking had some kind of tragic, suspicious, or controversial, or unsolved death in their family. Because it wasn't only me. We were counting through. And I said, oh my God. And it was when Rebecca Dean's case, I said, that one too. She's got a death in her family too. And then lately, Rebecca Dean said something I don't even think she realizes how significant it was. Because she was interviewed by, I think it was either CBS or Fox, the reporter Gabrielle Enfield, who's a mainstream Ohio regular professional news reporter, interviewed Rebecca Dean. Blazing Scar is what her channel is, Blazing Scar. And she has a little chihuahua for her avatar. That's how you can tell who she is. And she's always fighting with these trolls. And God bless her, she's trying to win. I mean, it's an unwinnable fight, Becky, but God bless you for trying. This reporter, Rebecca Dean, mentioned that one of the reasons why she got interested in doing this story on how Rebecca Dean was being bullied and harassed by these people and ended up in the story was on the court case getting a protection order. Gabrielle Enfield also had some kind of unsolved homicide amongst her relatives. And they were harassing Gabrielle Enfield about that. The same game. And this may seem like it's not connected to Greenland, but it's the same principle of getting involved with people's emotional lives and pulling them in and making sure that people can't even go into chat rooms where the topic on screen is nothing but sewing. See, the topic here is obviously something other than sewing. I'm obviously talking politics, so you go ahead and talk about politics in my chat right now, because that's what it's about. And I can't, okay, there's the chat. Okay, I'm going to return to reading the chat in a second here. But anyway, you can see what I'm saying here. It's a sneaking in underneath. Oh, we sympathize with you because you lost your daughter. Can I talk to you about how I lost my in-laws? Turns out to be one of them. Oh, we sympathize with you, Becky, because we found out you got a cold case. Can we help you with that? And we can help you become professional so that you can help those poor horses that the mean old feds are shooting? It's like, yeah, sure, help me out. Well, when they came to me, I already had enough experience with these people that I said, well, what are you doing? What do you want? Found out, she said she was producing a documentary. She came to me wanting just to be a friend. And then I got suspicious. I said, what are you really after here? Because you're not making any sense. You're trying to get me into something. And she says, well, okay, I confess. I'm working with Oxygen Network on a documentary about cults. And we'd like to talk to you about what happened to your daughter. And I said, well, what do you I said, I don't believe you. You've been fake. You didn't come to me and say you wanted to talk to me as a producer. You came to me just because you wanted some sympathy because your in-laws got shot in some kind of encounter in their house and they don't know who did it. That's what you came to me with a personal thing. It's not professional. I don't want anything to do with your production. And she kept trying to persuade me. And she says, well, it's with Oxygen Network. And Oxygen Network is a major mainstream. It's right up there with HBO and Lifetime and Netflix. I mean, it's not as big as Netflix, but it's in that league. And so I said, oh, come on. I said, don't lie to me. She says, I'm not lying. I have a partner who is actually, and I said, that you got somebody in YouTube telling you they work with Oxygen. I said, you're playing me, they're playing you. So then she sent me the email with the password to get into the Oxygen Network's pre-production video of what they were working on. She did that because she wanted to prove to me that she really was working with Oxygen, and she really was. And I contacted Oxygen Network, and I said who I was, and I said, you're sending people to unprofessionally rope people into personal pity party discussions, and then springing it on us that you're working on a cult thing? I said, if you want to do anything, you approach me professionally, but don't expect me to want to. But if you do anything with what that woman, and I named her to him, is doing, you're going to face a lawsuit. All of a sudden, she got fired, and they left me alone. But she does appear as a co-producer in one of their other cases where they went after a guy who was, a case of a guy who was shot because he was disagreeing with a cult. I don't know, one of these weird tinfoil helmet conspiracy cults. And yeah, so we're talking some serious crap here. And one of the main tactics, Katie from Greenland, is to come into chats and get everybody so sympathetic that anyone who criticizes Greenland is now going to be seen as somebody who doesn't like you and your husband. Well, you know something? You can't hit me anywhere that doesn't already have some pretty strong scar tissue on it. So I'm going to be the one who speaks up. So there you are. Let's go to the chat and see what's going on. Sam's guy here, he's saying Sam was arrested in changing into drag with a gun. Sheriff Grady Judd covered it? Oh, I'm going to have to look up that. Arrested January 14th? It went viral. I don't know how I missed it. Wow. Tomo, you're drinking again. You better cut it out. All right. He's posted it several times. Hey, Johnny, I recognize Johnny's list. Oh, wow. Gone out on a job as a fireman. Tomo, we'd be praying for you. Stay safe. Stay safe. Well, I'm going to have to look that up. Sheriff J.D. Grudd. If it was J.D. Grudd, yeah, Grady Judd. We're talking about one of the trolls that has been involved in a lot of this stuff. He got arrested. And changing into drag, holding a gun. I don't know. I haven't seen the news, so I don't know the situation, but they're obviously not going to say that this guy called Sam Clinton was running a troll game on YouTube. They're gonna talk about whatever happened at the moment they arrested him, whatever it was for. And there's been other arrests. I was talking about Sutherland Springs, to those who don't know. Well, Sutherland Springs happened in November 5th of 2017. And the trolls that were using my daughter's picture were saying it was a celebration of Guy Fawkes Day, the anonymous cult. We know the anonymous cult is part of this cult. It's one of the reasons why I don't bother spending money on a computer, because it's been hacked. I still have problems because of one of them hacking and putting malware in, and I don't know how to get rid of it. But and you just put up with it. They don't go too far with me. And if you think I'm being silly and paranoid, some of the worst ones have the anonymous mask of Guy Fawkes on there regularly on their screens. And one thing I know about the anonymous group, they won't let you get away with using their trademark if they don't like you. And they like these trolls. They're behind a lot of this stuff because they're anarchists. That's the other thing when you get into the politics of it. They hate the United States not because we're any worse than any other big country, but they hate any kind of power structure, which is stupid because you can't live without some kind of power structure, you know. Seriously. Well, anyway. Yeah, Johnny says Sam Clinton thing is hilarious. I'm going to have to look that up. December 14th, not January 14th. It was covered on January 5th. Well, I'm definitely going to have to look that up. Let me see if I can look it up right now. Oh, get off the topic of politics invading the chats. Let's see. Sheriff Judd Of course, it won't. He wasn't arrested with the name Sam Clinton, though. They must have used his legal name when they arrested him. I'll just put the date in, December 14th. Can you put his legal name in so I can look it up that way? Let's see. December 3rd, November 14th, December 10th. January 14th. I'm not seeing anything that looks like it. January 5th. Okay. Whoops. Let me look it up as 14th. January 5th. Is his channel is Polk Sheriff, right? Videos. Okay. Porch Pirate, January 9th. December 16th. I'm not seeing anything. Matthew Zaccarino. Okay, let me try it that way. One C or two C's? Oh, that's him. Sure enough. That's his face. That's Sam Clinton. Woohoo! Another arrest. I can't really play it without, no, maybe I can. I'm going to try to play it. I'll turn it off if it makes brutality feedback.
And just now, occasionally, I bring you stuff that you just can't believe, that you'll get over, that may even scar you for life. But I got to introduce you to this guy. He's not from Polk County, of course. I don't think we got anybody from Polk County quite like this guy. This is Matthew Zaccarino. He's 39. He's from Altamont Springs. And he's on this construction site in a vehicle by himself. And as our deputies approach him to see what's he doing on this construction site, we see this dude wearing a red lace bra with prosthetic silicone breastises. You know what I mean? Well, then we notice he's wearing a G-string, showing off the boys. You know what I mean? And then our two deputies say to themselves, "Self, this is highly unusual." But you don't realize how dangerous these situations are, because under a prosthesis, we found a gun. So he was armed trespassing. He said he was on the way to the costume party. We go, okay, where's the costume party? Well, he couldn't answer that, and then he sold up on us and quit wanting to talk at all. Can you imagine that? He's mad at us for trying to find out why he's wearing lace bras with guns and G-strings or G-somethings or, ooh, it was ugly.
Oh
It was so
my
ugly.
God.
Anyway, he went to jail. Good day. Now, occasionally.
Get rid of that. Anyway, he went to jail. Yeah, getting back to the Sutherland Springs things, there's two others just like him. They got arrested. Because while Tammy Mathis and this guy, Brian Birmingham, were trying to get me to talk about, to do the Alex Jones thing, that's where the extortion comes in. This whole group that trolls people. First, they want you to cooperate with their topic or their propaganda, whatever it is. And that means they're asking you to give them professional content. Not that you're a professional, but they're asking you to help them succeed in their business. And if you say, no, I'm not interested, they get angry. Then they say, well, then we're going to take you down. That's called extortion, okay? And Alex Jones was into it big time. This guy, Sam Clinton, I got a whole bunch of messages and emails from him from a couple years ago. He's part of the same gang. Now, what was he doing with a gun? I mean, it's bad enough he dressed the way he did. And he used to get teased because a lot of people don't understand this group. There's a group of people who are doing a very good job going into gamer chats where there are kids and pretending to be kids in order to catch adults who hit on them, who start to try to they expose the, but what they do is they then get the adults arrested by setting up pedophile stings, okay, like the Chris Hansen To Catch a Predator show. Well, there are other people who are doing that. They're legitimate. They really do work with real police departments. They really do get arrests. Well, they also have a drama crew in YouTube, which serves the purposes of exposing, pardon the pun, of exposing people like Sam Clinton. Because Sam Clinton was part of the drama crew trying to get in with everybody. And he was talking to me a few times. He wanted to do something about my daughter. He wanted to talk about other stuff. And I did try to have respectful conversations with him. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I always do. I can't say I had any real problems with him, but everyone sees what they are. Okay, and the purpose of the drama pocket in YouTube that this predator catcher group runs is that people like Sam Clinton who look legit when you're just talking to him and you're not looking at him. He wasn't dressed in drag and standing in front of me. So their interest looks innocent enough. You'd say, okay, fine, you're a little weird, but this is YouTube. Everybody's weird. But there have been people in that catcher community talking about him being up to this kind of thing. And then other people saying, oh, no, you're being mean. He's not like that. He's a nice guy, da-da-da. And there he is doing what he was doing. My gosh. What was his plan to being dressed up like that at a construction site? Seriously. With a gun. I mean, that wasn't... There's no good explanation for that. But who cares? But these people, the ones in Sutherland Springs, there were two of them that went down there and started demanding. They were walking up to people whose kids had been shot in that church shooting. And this was maybe a year or two later, because it was in 2017, so this was around 2019. They were demanding death certificates, prove that you really had a child who was killed here. It's all a LARP. It's all fake. And that's what These people that were harassing me about my daughter wanted me to make shows supporting that accusation. They went up to the pastor of one of the kids that was killed and were doing it. Well, they were arrested, the two of them. They were arrested. They had come down into Texas from somewhere up around Chicago or some northern Midwestern place. And they were arrested. And then there was a bunch of them that were running around, these ones that were like to go up into cops' faces with the cameras. You know, you see them doing it all with the anti-ICE demonstrations. Well, they were doing that before, just against cops in general. And a bunch of them got arrested in Leon Valley, which is closer to San Antonio. It's actually part of San Antonio almost. It's a suburb of San Antonio. They were running around having demonstrations, and they were saying they were going to have a First and Second Amendment combined protest. And the police chief invited them all to a 2 o'clock conference so they could air their grievances and stuff. And they all showed up at the conference, and they all got arrested because they'd been posting violence in their chats. So, yeah, I was looking at the facial expressions. This guy that Sam's guy. I'm going to call you Sam's guy because I don't want to read out your name. But now I see where the name comes from, because he was wearing silicone bazooms. Now I see what that's about. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to look that up. You know, this is, but can you see where it's going? There's people that want to turn just regular, ordinary craft communities. And it makes me angry because Katie of Greenland, that's what she's doing. And she thinks we're too stupid to say, wait a minute, you're not even from Greenland, okay? You're from Florida. And God bless you, you got your husband found a good job in Greenland. And what she did was she started talking about the exact company that he works for and putting out all kinds of identifying information about a day or two before she shows up with a political sign, protest sign. And now she's coming into quilters' chat rooms because she's been quilting. She's been running a very pleasant quilting stream for a couple years. So everyone knows her as a quilter. Everyone feels for her. All the stories about children and relatives and neighbors and normal stuff. But now, everyone's got to take a side, and she thinks no one maybe might be on the other side. There's nothing we can do about this. Just don't be stupid. Don't think that the thing that's going on in a country, national politics, international politics, is the same thing as when somebody's complaining that they're going through family hardship because, something happened. Medical tests from the doctor came back with bad news, or the dog died, or something. Maintain a clear boundary between those things and political sympathies. I shouldn't be ranting. I can't seem to stop myself when I get on a good rant. But, wow. I never took him for Italian. I'm surprised that turns out to be his legal name. I never took him for Italian. Matthew Zaccarino. Hmm. Well, I'm going to get back to work. In fact, I think I'm going to get to sleep. It's kind of late. What time is it? Oh, 11:30. It's not that late. But I want to turn the heater off because the power is flickering. And we had no power for about an hour yesterday. Oh, Greenland Quilter. Yeah, I've been ranting about you going into a chat room and trying to tell everyone, oh, it's a real hardship here in Greenland. Like you're going to make us all pick a side. Not everyone agrees with your politics, Greenland Katie. And the chat room you went into was not a political discussion. You can talk politics here all you want. But you are trying to make it impossible for people to just relax with their quilting. Some of us have had family members killed by left-wing political activists. Some of us have faced threats on our businesses and our lives and our quilting businesses because we refused to take a political side. We just want to sew our quilts and have some fellowship. You're sitting there in Greenland, Katie. You're a white American. You chose to move to Greenland. Well, good for you. But people don't have to take sides and consider what's going on in Greenland to be a personal hardship. Because we got some personal hardship going on over here. And a lot of the quilters, yeah, they do agree with you politically, but they're not bringing it up to other people. They're not making it difficult. I'm not going into chats demand. In fact, I carefully said some nice things about seeing the Northern Lights. Sincerely nice things, trying to make sure that we can all talk and get along together. But as soon as I saw you with that sign, answer me this, Katie. Answer me this question. Why did you identify exactly where your husband works and what was going on in that situation? Knowing how dangerous things are politically, why did you do that? The day before you posted the picture of yourself with the political sign, the protest sign. Can you answer why you did that? Are you still in the chat? Because we're going through a lot of hardship over here. Yeah, I'm sure she left. Well, see, they don't expect someone to stand up to them the way I do. And I'm called crazy for it, and I'll, yeah, the shoe fits. But I speak up a little quickly so that they get taken by surprise because they think they're going to have time to build themselves a pity party before anybody catches on to the fact that Katie of Greenland is actually a political activist. And I'll tell you something else. If she thinks that some serious international military level law enforcement don't notice stuff like when she named exactly what was going on at her husband's job in with identifying information. That's the thing. You can always talk about, oh, my husband's going through this or that at work. The issue sounded, all kinds of repair equipment problems at work. There was no reason, and you could tell even the way she did it, there was no reason to start introducing names of something, including the company. She didn't actually name the company. She named facilities owned by the company so that anyone could find it. She knows how dangerous that was for her husband. And she did it. And I was watching her do that, and I was thinking, why is she doing that? And then the very next day, she posts a picture of herself with a protest sign. And I said, oh, that's why she's doing it. She's an activist. And today she was going into chats, trying to get people to pick a side, pity her family, identify her with the problems in Greenland. She's trying to call herself and her husband Greenlanders. They're both from Florida. They moved there. Wonderful. Okay, no problem with that. In fact, I don't even have a problem with people thinking that Trump is overstepping and maybe the United States shouldn't be so aggressive. So I don't have a problem with people thinking that. But sneaking in under the radar to get people personally attached to violent, Civil War level political conflict. And Katie from Greenland thinks we don't know what's going on. See, these people want to wreck quilters who have businesses. They can't do anything to me because I'm in my 70s and I live in Texas. And they have tried. They have actually posted videos about trying to find what real estate I own, which I don't. I'm a renter. I'm a renter without even a lease, a 30-day notice. Two-way 30-day handshake lease. It is a lease, but it has a handshake clause in it. My landlord's not on any government programs. No government subsidies. The only thing coming into my hands is my Social Security and anything I personally earn through material work, such as with my quilts. But I don't depend on my quilts. That's just play money. And they tried. They thought, see, what they do is they get you into a fight, get into a two-way lawsuit. People start suing each other. And then you run yourself into debt. They have, well, one of them has got you triggered to get into some kind of lawsuit, suing each other. They've got a friend who's already done a deed search and put liens, gotten ready so that as soon as you go into debt, they can put liens on any property you might own. They even made videos complaining that they said, look, just leave her alone. She doesn't own anything. It's not worth it. She's not going to shut up and we can't do anything. And they can't touch me because I live in a pretty safe place in Texas. We don't tolerate the garbage that they tolerate in some other parts of this country. When I say we, I'm talking about the system down here, law enforcement. Law enforcement is just as weird and crazy as it is everywhere else. But these people, they tried to have me swatted. They made their phone calls. The one that was using my daughter's picture as her avatar. A senior officer came to my door and told me the minute she shows up, they're ready to arrest her. Because she had been calling, impersonating a detective, pretending that she herself was a police officer looking for information about me. And they'd already had one of them calling and pretending to be a family member, trying to get me welfare checked. So the cops know this gang. In fact, when I was talking to them about it, as I said, I hate to bother you about these threats and things, but this is what's going on. And the detective said, well, asked me a few more questions. What's this one? Oh, Discord? I said, yeah, they got a Discord. I don't go into Discord, so I don't know, but I know they've referred to it. So they are talking about what they're doing in their Discord chats. And the detective laughs. She says, yeah, we know all about the Discord chats. And then after that, the idiot Tammy Mathis made a phone call, pretending to be a detective investigating me. Now, Tammy Mathis has been presented and introduced as a former law enforcement professional, which she is not. She's impersonating. But Terry Joyce, the porn actress turned journalist, had her on several times, I think, at least once, but I think more than once, as a guest, introducing her to the public as law enforcement. Alex Jones was doing the same thing with George Webb's brother. Had him in uniform on his show, introducing him as a first responder in uniform. And they're the ones who used a fake bomb scare phone call they had done enough research to make it sound realistic to get the port of Charleston evacuated. George Webb was arrested for that. That was in 2017. And in 2019, his brother Dave Acton tried something similar. They got involved with stuff down here and they put my name on it. And they put out threats. And they thought I was going to do something like they did to Charleston. No, I simply let the Port Authority look at this whole thing, and I told them exactly who they were and what they were up to. And we did have increased security down here for a while. The whole neighborhood noticed it. Because I live where I could step out into the harbor where I live. That's why they were trying to play games with me. And the Port Authority looked at it and said, how do you even know these people? It's like, well, when you go into YouTube, you don't know who you're going to run into. But, well, anyway, I didn't mean to do a total rant thing, but sometimes that's just what happens. God bless some, have mercy on some, and the hell with the rest. They're not worth the effort. Denise Matto, over and out. Oh, and you get to choose the group you're in. Okay? God, you choose if you're going to be one of the ones God blesses, or one of the ones he needs to have some mercy on you, or one of the ones we just don't worry about. Okay. I'll catch you all. I've got to do more on my cathedral window thing, and catch you all later. Denise Matto, over and out.